news. The June roadmap for TSW2 is out. Thought I'd read through it with you as an aid to the people who might be a little more challenged in having the websites or just don't have time to go and read it. So, it's June, and they're talking about that's been exciting with the release of the first Steam route for Train Sim World 2. Definitely agree with that. Moving into a period of improvements with content teams supporting preservation crew updates, post-release patches and improvements of route experience, whilst the engineering teams deal with the more knotty issues of core improvements to the game, PS5 add-on limits, Xbox Jackhammer sound issue, out-of-memory crashes. So you might not see a lot of new stuff added to the roadmap while we work on these things. That's cool. I think the community's been asking for those things to be updated, so it's good to see some effort going into it. There is some background work going on with the unnamed routes, but we want to focus on getting these bits out the door safely first. Having said that, there's a couple of new things to add this month. So, there's a new third-party entry to the roadmap with a new UK loco from Rivet Games, and we'll see some screenshots of that, I think, later on. Making its first appearance. We'll have more details in separate articles in the future, but it's important to note straight out of the gate, this is not a steam locomotive. We also don't have any more information for you on the German and US routes. They are not steam routes. I like the way they keep saying that. As they remain in early stages while they work on some of the other projects. We've added a new Bakerloo timetable to the roadmap in May, and Hauptstrecke Hamburg-Lübeck will be getting the same treatment. Read on to find out more later. Okay, Spirit of Steam Liverpool Lime Street Crewe has been released, and we've added a manual fireman option into the core fixes section. Post-release improvements are detailed in the Spirit of Steam section below. The preservation crew updates for HRR, RSN and Rapid Transit, RTN I think that one is, have all been released and can be found in this rather large updates note article here. Yeah, there were a couple of issues with that. Spirit of Steam, what's next? So, thanks to everyone who's been enjoying and sending feedback for the Steam update. If you haven't already, provide us with reviews. It helps prospective players understand. Yep, done that. And it's just the start of the Steam adventures. Actually, they do say hopefully. Steam is expensive. At present, we don't have new Steam content on the roadmap. We'll be spending the upcoming weeks refining the experience on Liverpool Lime Street Crewe and building out the manual fireman functionality. We've seen a lot of requests for new layers and substitutions. We recommend using the full functionality of off-the-rails mode and taking them on any route you like. There's really is a lot of good content on Creators Club. There's a couple of crap ones, but there's a lot of really good ones too. So certainly have a look at those. I'm featuring some of those on my stream this weekend, in fact. And featured some last weekend, in fact. Can you expect the set of post-release improvements later this week? Oh, you can expect the first set of post-release improvements. I misread that, I'm sorry. Including track joint sounds. Now, they're kind of there now, despite what some people are saying, but they're very quiet, and you can only hear them in some areas. They're coming for everywhere, apparently. Scenario planner functionality for 8Fs with Mark I coaches, and changing auto fireman to the default option for console players. It already was for PC. If you are currently struggling with anything Spirit of Steam related, please head out to our mega thread where there are loads of great resources and information. Agree with that, there's lots of stuff there. It's in the forums. Longer term, we'll be investigating the manual fireman operation with a view to adding it further down the line, as well as the loco physics, particularly when braking at low speeds, and other improvements based on your feedback. They did talk about the derailing on braking issue, and it needs a core update, and it needs everything to be tested, so that may be a little while away. Preservation crew update. Last week we saw the much anticipated releases for Hauptstrecke Rhein-Ruhr, Routes Ignored and Rapid Transit in a veritable German sandwich of deliciousness. Okay, fair enough. Great Western Express will follow soon with more preserved updates to come in the near future, and there's a list in the roadmap at the bottom of this article. We'll get there eventually. We will review feedback from last week's release and have some improvements planned for this week. That's excellent news, so some of those strange things might go away. We've added a new describer into our roadmap which detailed the size of the updates for each of the projects being worked on, ranging from tiny to huge, giving an indication of the amount of work put into each to bring new features and fix issues. We will aim to provide more indication within the roadmap articles and stream to the expected improvements we're testing. We checked on the status of Great Western Express, a large update, which is next on our list, and Northern TransPennine, a medium update, which follows after. To see what features you can expect, this will hopefully provide more context to the sizings of future roadmaps. I'm guessing they're using t-shirt sizing. It's a pretty common technique in agile development. Great Western Express, large update. Here are the current improvement focuses we're testing for different areas of the route. If improvement does not pass our testing, we will omit it from the published changelog on release. So you might not actually get all of this, is what they're saying. Improved audio experience of locos, improved route environment, track rendering, sky visuals, shipping containers, static stock, platform departure boards, and off-route destinations. Improved loco experience in the Class 166 DMU acceleration fittings, and as in functional displays, interior lighting, strictness of stopping accuracy, and rail driver. Yay, rail driver. I hardly ever play the 166 because it doesn't have rail driver. There'll be rush hour passengers, route diversity, 2 new cement services, Greenford branch services between Paddington and East Ealing for 8th generation platforms. I guess that means the others have already got it. Route improvements based on player feedback, resolving wrong side station loading issues, adding platform climb up for all stations, other tweaks, and features. And there's some screenshots here of the 166 with a PIS. And PIS inside. And PIS boards at the ends of the platforms. That looks pretty cool. Northern TransPennine is getting a medium update. And here are the things they're looking at. Again, they may not all come out. The livericks shown in the screenshots for the Class 47 will be available from Creators Club shortly after release. They are not provided with the update. There you go. So it's a Creators Club thing. Improved route environment, sky visuals, track rendering, adding platform departure boards, improved route functionality, adding platform climb up for all stations, adding animated level crossings, rush hour passengers, improved customization, adding the livery designer support to the Class 47-4. We can see the 101 in a screenshot, and we can see the gates opening. So gates closed, gates open. Cool. We can see this new livery they were talking about, which apparently is a Creators Club livery, not part of the actual update itself. Deep dive on new timetables. So one of May's Roadmap's exciting additions was the news that a new Bakerloo timetable will be coming, containing 600 plus new services. This month, Hopstreek Hamburg Lübeck has been added and will get similar treatment. We grabbed our timetables maestro Joe to explain more and share us some working in progress shots of the timetables in action. Joe says timetables what trains run to every day, typically covering all passenger services from early in the morning until late at night. While it might seem to passengers that routes such as Bakerloo Line are just constant trains with no rhythm or patterns, there is in fact a carefully structured method to show how they operate throughout the day. A timetable considers journey, station stop and turnaround times, train availability and mileage, staffing and shift patterns. So we can see the normal and the oldest Bakerloo trains there, the 1938. In this shot, I think you can see the normal ones and one of the aluminium ones in the back there. We normally try to update an existing timetable. With that, and it's important to investigate what state it's in before making changes to see what would need to be done. But with Bakerloo, he decided it was best to start fresh using a newer working timetable from 2021 and started working about the timetables after the original was created. So I made sure to learn about the problems experienced during the original development and learn how to overcome them. Just a little sidebar on working timetables. These are the timetables the railways use to operate, and they include lots more information than the public ones, such as where to get the train from, what drivers should do it, where are the crossing points, where do they have to meet at different stations and things like that. Those generally aren't in the passenger versions. See a couple more screenshots here. The Bakerloo line timetable has over 600 services, offering a realistic underground experience. Trains run every few minutes between Elephant and Castle and Queen's Park, with an 8 TPH continuing to Stonebridge Park and then 4 TPH, so trains per hour, on towards Harrow and Wealdstone. Seeing trains constantly arrive and depart at Elephant and Castle is one of my favourite things. As to how much more challenging it is, it's not uncommon to be running a tight schedule in the peak period and come across red signals in the tunnels, which require lots of vigilance to not overrun and stay on time. I also added a rail tour using 1938 stock in its preserved 4-car formation, which gets to do some unique things. There may or may not be some surprises for those who own other UK add-ons. Well, you'll need to own the 1938 stock to actually be able to use that one, I guess. Bakerloo's approach was the complete opposite to Hamburg-Lübeck, which is the route I started making timetables on. A lot of its development time was spent on learning the tools, and as a result, it's a little quiet around Hamburg HBF area, and I wasn't happy with it. So I decided to carry on adding to the route in my own time and fix some little gripes with the original services. It now looks unrecognisable in comparison. Hamburg HBF has been filled with AI, and there's even a few more playable services to enjoy. That's pretty cool. Having the routes have lots of moving things is really important. It helps with their life. New team spotlight on Lucas. So introducing a developer spotlight to the roadmap each month. Lucas has joined as a new senior technical producer. I know Lucas. He's very cool, very clever. Lucas says he's a half-serious train fan from Germany, born and raised in Frankfurt, partly in Berchtesgaden. I have always wanted to edit train games, and I played and led to me starting to learn 3D and programming at a young age. Thank you very much to my roommate from boarding school in Berchtesgaden for mentoring me. The weirdest thing is that I actually do not enjoy travelling the world, which is maybe why I started to instead explore it in simulators. This led me to MSTS, Train Simulator and Trains. Over time, the only one that really stuck was Train Simulator, which quickly got me into the professional scene, given that 3D artists were in high demand. And now he's here. He was asked what his favourite loco is in TSW2 otherwise, and he says he's being biased by his local trains, and he thinks it's still a BR420. Trains still had style back then. He really liked the TS version, and he's looking forward to the TSW version. What work have you previously done in TSW2 that players would recognise? His first major project for TSW was track signalling and part of the scenery for Dresden Riesa, and he introduced Track IR with the help of the engineering team and constantly trying to improve the game by adding new tools like the possibility to use laser-scanned terrain as a base for the routes. In TS Classic, you can also find his work in routes like S-Bahn Frankfurt. And what will his role entail within Dovetail? His main goal is to further improve the quality of German content, making routes feel more German, so that now all departments have a German contact point that can answer their questions. But he will continue to lay track and signal all the future German content, keeping a technical standard as high as possible. Oh, and try and get a Frankfurt fruit made. What's the thing you're proudest of working on in TSW2? He's very proud of the progress he made with the new terrain technology. What fills him with joy is working with his own little side project, which he hopes to release at some point. Lucas will be joining the stream, so that was earlier. The Xbox Jackhammer audio update. Begun testing a new approach to solving the Xbox audio issues. So far it's yielding positive results. It changes how the audio is encoded for the Xbox releases and then how the game loads and manages it, which is an improvement to having to rebuild the entire audio engine, which is where they were going. It's too early to say categorically this is the fix, so they'll keep us updated. They do have an Xbox beta team now, so they'll probably be able to give us some feedback. PS5 add-ons limit and an add-in manager. So they're now in position, we have first builds of what we're calling the add-ons manager, which will preload routes and locos to your game based on the content you choose to play and nothing else. These will then be tested and sent to our beta communities to try out. If all goes well, it means we can bring them into the live game. That's, by the way, is coming to apparently all platforms, not just PS5. So that'll be an interesting turnaround. For me as a streamer, it means I'm going to have to plan ahead to make sure my content's available when I'm going to switch. A positive byproduct of this is by reducing the amount of content mounted to your game each session, we will predict there to be less memory usage, in turn reducing chances of you getting out of memory crash. It's still a hypothesis at this point, but they're optimistic it will help in some way. Is this a solution that covers all platforms? Everyone will see a benefit. I think it could be useful, particularly, if you're a PC player and you've got a lower end PC, might I say Steam Deck, sorry. It could be good. The stage of testing represents a good milestone for the development process. We'll continue to update as work proceeds. Community improvements. Save game is still in the investigation phase. They have a member of the team dedicated to reproducing and attempting to diagnose issues reported by players with save game. Similarly to the PS5 DLC limit issue, it's trying to do this en masse rather than route by route basis. So it sounds like core issues mostly. Once we know the source of the issue, it would be built into development plans for future add-ons, and then we'd have to identify the scope of work required to improve issues with older content, so don't expect any miracles. If we aren't able to identify the source of the issue, we will likely review issues on a case-by-case basis, which will take significantly longer. Crashes on rush hour routes and others, the current solution for the PS5 add-ons limit. We hope to significantly reduce memory use with Train Sim World 2, as you'll have fewer add-ons loaded each time you play, meaning the reduction of out-of-memory crashes. We will test with our beta communities first and monitor its after release. Red light issues, these continue to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. The most recent patch was to fix a couple of Harlem issues reported by players. We're investigating potential updates to the core dispatcher as a longer-term solution to these issues. That would be a big one, changing the dispatcher. That would be serious testing. Achievements. We're aware of a couple of achievements currently not unlocking on the Xbox, the DBBR187 A Long First Trip and DBBR143 Dresden Commuter, as well as 2 of the new Spirit of Steam route. These are actively being looked into. For other achievements, it's worth bearing in mind that the miles driven during training modules or while speeding is not counted towards an achievement being unlocked. So you have to behave yourself if you want the achievements. Okay, that's pretty fair. Forthcoming add-ons that are being developed by Dovetail. There's a German route and a US route. They do not name them beyond that or talk about them beyond that. Other releases that are coming up. There's a new UK loco being developed by Rivet Games, but they don't say what it is. There's a DBBR 420 electric multiple unit for Hubstreck München Augsburg, developed by TSG. Core features are larger projects. These may be significant new pieces of functionality or changes that will affect players on one or several different platforms, often requiring more time in development. This may move more slowly than others. Approved licensed brand decals for delivery designer. That will be cool, because it eats a lot of layers making logos. PlayStation 5 add-on limit fixed, new Spirit of Steam manual fireman functionality, and the PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 profile transfer. Miscellaneous things. Projects players will notice but don't fall into the other categories. Dovetail Live Rewards, Rush Hour Passenger System for London Commuter, Red Light Dispatcher improvements across multiple routes, starting with Rush Hour routes and Harlem Line. Preservation Crew. Projects have been tackled by the Pres Crew. Many of these upgrades will simply be adding to the latest game functionality to an older route. The additions or changes in the upgrade will include some or all of the following: station departure boards, animated crossings, platform climb-up functionality, improved track rendering, rush hour passenger density and appearance, support for rail driver contact signaler functionality, minor fixes to scenery, minor fixes to audio, minor fixes to gameplay, minor fixes to menu items, livery designer compatibility, and scenario planner expansion. It's good to see that stuff spelled out because people have strange expectations sometimes. In this month, we include a scale of the size of the work feature, and these are upcoming things. So large, Great Western Express, medium Northern Transpennine, tiny West Somerset, tiny Scottish Commuter, small Hopstreck Hamburg Lübeck, including the new Timetable update, medium Rhine-Ruhr Austin, small 2022 Bakerloo Timetable with 600 plus services, small Long Island Railroad, huge Peninsula Corridor, huge Oakville Subdivision, and tiny LGV Mediterranean. They've talked about what the other updates are previously, so we won't go through that, and so have I. Things that have been removed from the roadmaps, either because they've been completed or their status have changed, or the project being suspended. The Spirit of Steam Liverpool Crew, so that's been released. Rapid Transit was released, Hopstreck Rhine-Ruhr was released, Ruhr-Sieg Nord was released. And that's it. They just thank us for keeping up with it. They did note on the roadmap stream, if you care to watch it, that there were some issues with the Rapid Transit HRR and RSN releases, and they are looking into how those managed to escape. Well, thanks for listening, folks. I hope this has been useful for you, and I shall see you streaming live this coming Sunday, 8:30 AM, AEST. Bye now.